Paris, with its rich history and centuries-old architecture, is filled with eerie tales and chilling encounters. Here are a few true scary stories from the City of Light. The Vanishing Man of the Paris Catacombs. Beneath the streets of Paris lies a hidden world of winding tunnels, secret chambers, and walls lined with human bones, the infamous Paris Catacombs. Spanning over 200 miles, this underground labyrinth has long been a place of mystery, but one of its most chilling stories is that of the Vanishing Man. In the early 1990s, a group of urban explorers, known as cataphiles, ventured deep into the catacombs, equipped with flashlights and cameras to document their journey. As they navigated through the narrow passages, they stumbled upon something disturbing, an old camcorder lying abandoned on the damp stone floor. Curious, they picked it up and played back the footage. What they saw sent chills down their spines. The terrifying footage. The video, though grainy and dark, showed a man walking alone through the catacombs. At first, he appeared calm, methodically moving through the tunnels. But as the recording continued, his breathing grew heavier, his pace quickened, and his movements became erratic. It was clear, he was lost. The deeper he went, the more frantic he became. The footage showed him spinning in circles, checking the walls for any recognizable markings, his flashlight flickering in the oppressive darkness. His whispers turned into panicked mutterings. Then, something truly eerie happened. The man began running. It was unclear what he was running from, there was no visible threat in the footage. But his fear was palpable. His breath came in ragged gasps, and the camera shook violently. He tripped and fell, the flashlight rolling away, casting eerie shadows on the walls. He picked up the camera, turned it towards his face, his eyes were wild with terror. And then, suddenly, he dropped the camera. The final moments of the recording show the camera lying on the ground, facing a dark corridor. Heavy breathing can be heard, followed by the sound of running footsteps. Then silence. The screen goes black. The unsolved mystery. The man in the footage was never identified, and his body was never found. Some believe he may have succumbed to the endless maze, his flashlight eventually dying, leaving him trapped in the pitch-black tunnels. Others whisper of something more sinister, a presence that lurks in the catacombs, preying on those who wander too far. To this day, cataphiles and explorers who venture into the catacombs claim to hear strange sounds, footsteps echoing where no one should be, whispering voices in the dark, and the feeling of being watched. The Vanishing Man is still down there, lost in the labyrinth beneath Paris, his spirit wandering eternally in the shadows. The Phantom of the Tuileries Gardens. In the heart of Paris, just outside the Louvre Museum, lies the Tuileries Gardens, a beautiful and historic park that has welcomed kings, revolutionaries, and tourists alike. But beneath its serene beauty and neatly arranged pathways lurks a chilling legend, the ghost of Jean Lecourtier, better known as the Red Man of the Tuileries. For centuries, Parisians and visitors alike have reported seeing a mysterious man dressed in red wandering the gardens at night, only for him to vanish before their eyes. His presence is often associated with misfortune and death, and his tragic tale dates back to the time of Catherine de' Medici, the powerful Queen Mother of France. The Butcher of the Tuileries. In the 1560s, the Tuileries Palace was being built under the orders of Catherine de' Medici, a woman deeply involved in the political and mystical affairs of her time. She was rumored to dabble in the occult, often consulting astrologers and fortune tellers to maintain her grip on power. One of her most trusted aides was Jean Lecourtier, a butcher and henchman who worked in the shadows, eliminating those who posed a threat to the Queen. Jean was a feared man, known for his ruthless efficiency and loyalty to the Medici family. Some say he not only disposed of bodies but also tortured enemies of the crown in hidden chambers beneath the palace. But Jean knew too much. Fearing that her butcher might one day turn against her or expose her secrets, Catherine ordered his immediate execution. One night, Jean was ambushed and brutally murdered within the palace walls. As he lay dying, his blood staining the cold stones, he swore vengeance, declaring that he would return to haunt the palace and all those who betrayed him. His body was quickly disposed of, his death kept a secret. But soon after, strange things began happening in the Tuileries. The haunting begins. Not long after Jean's murder, servants and guards began seeing a strange figure dressed in red wandering the halls of the palace and the gardens outside. He would appear without a sound, staring at them with lifeless eyes before vanishing into thin air. Even Catherine de' Medici herself reportedly saw him. One night, she woke up screaming, claiming Jean had appeared at the foot of her bed, his body bloodied and torn, whispering of her impending doom. The terrified queen soon abandoned the Tuileries, convinced that a curse had fallen upon it. But the Red Man did not rest. Centuries, numerous French rulers and nobles reported seeing the ghost. King Henry IV, Louis XVI, and even Napoleon Bonaparte was said to have encountered him. In 1792, during the French Revolution, when the mob stormed the Tuileries Palace, many revolutionaries reported seeing a shadowy figure in red watching from the windows, as if bearing witness to the fall of those who had wronged him. A curse through time. The palace itself no longer exists, burned down in 1871 during the Paris Commune, but the Tuileries Gardens remain, and so, it seems, does the Red Man. Visitors today still report seeing a man in red walking among the trees or standing beneath the old lamp posts. Some describe hearing whispers in the wind, unintelligible but chilling. A few unlucky souls even claim that the Red Man appeared to them shortly before a great misfortune, a death in the family, an accident, or a tragic event. Is Jean Lecourtier still roaming the gardens, seeking revenge for his untimely murder? Or is he merely a lingering remnant of Paris's dark past? If you ever find yourself strolling through the Tuileries at dusk, beware. Should you see a man dressed in red, don't look too closely. He may not be of this world. The murderous surgeon of Rue Chanoinesse. Nestled in the shadow of Notre Dame Cathedral, Rue Chanoinesse is a quiet, unassuming street. But beneath its cobbled charm lies one of Paris's most disturbing and gruesome legends, the tale of a barber and a surgeon who turned their unsuspecting customers into macabre delicacies. Though this story has the feel of urban legend, its roots are firmly planted in historical records, dating back to the 14th or 15th century. Many believe it served as inspiration for later horror tales, including the infamous Sweeney Todd. The sinister partnership. During the Middle Ages, a barber operated on Rue Chanoinesse, catering to locals and travelers alike. Barbers of the time weren't just hairstylists, they also performed minor surgeries, bloodletting, and tooth extractions. Many people came in for a quick shave, unaware they would never leave. Next door to the barber lived a surgeon, skilled in dissection and anatomy. The two men developed a twisted partnership. The barber would slit the throats of customers once they were seated in his chair, then send the bodies through a trapdoor into the basement. There, the surgeon would expertly carve up the corpses, using the flesh for a ghastly purpose. According to legend, the human meat was used in meat pies and pâtés, sold to unsuspecting Parisians, who supposedly found the taste exquisite. Some claim the pâtés even gained a reputation for being among the finest in the city, attracting more and more customers to the deadly establishment. The discovery. Some operation continued for years, undetected. That is, until a curious little dog changed everything. One evening, a young apprentice from a local monastery went missing after visiting the barber. His faithful dog, refusing to leave the shop's entrance, howled and scratched at the door for days. Suspicious monks and locals finally broke into the barber's shop, where they made a horrifying discovery: a blood-soaked basement filled with human bones, carefully stripped of their flesh. The barber and surgeon were immediately arrested and put on trial. Their punishment was swift and brutal. They were burned alive in an iron cage in the public square, their crime deemed too monstrous for any lesser sentence. Lingering shadows on Rue Chanoinesse. The buildings where the murders took place were reportedly torn down after the execution, as no one wanted to live in such a cursed place. But even centuries later, strange occurrences have been reported on Rue Chanoinesse. Some late-night walkers have heard whispers near the site, voices murmuring in the dark. Others have claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in alleyways, only to disappear when approached. A few even report the eerie sensation of being watched, as if unseen eyes are still observing the street, waiting for the next unfortunate soul to enter the barber's cursed domain. Would you dare to visit Rue Chanoinesse at night? You might hear the faint echo of a razor being sharpened, or the whisper of a hungry ghost craving one last taste. The haunted room 301 at Hôtel Meurice. Paris is known for its luxury hotels, but few have a history as eerie as Hôtel Meurice, a 5-star establishment that has hosted royalty, world leaders, and celebrities. Nestled on Rue de Rivoli, just across from the Tuileries Gardens, the hotel exudes old-world elegance. Yet, behind its grand facade, whispers of the paranormal have persisted for decades, especially surrounding Room 301, a suite that many believe is haunted by an unseen, restless presence. A hotel with a dark past. Hôtel Meurice was founded in 1815, designed to be a lavish retreat for British aristocrats visiting Paris. Over the centuries, it became the choice of famous guests, from Salvador Dali to Queen Victoria. However, its most infamous period came during World War II, when it was taken over by the Nazis and used as the headquarters of the German High Command in occupied France. It is said that in August 1944, as Allied forces closed in on Paris, General Dietrich von Schultitz, the German military governor, resided in Hôtel Meurice. He had been ordered by Hitler to destroy Paris rather than surrender it, but he famously refused. Still, the hotel bore witness to intense wartime discussions, betrayals, and likely secrets that led to violent deaths behind closed doors. If these tormented souls still haunt Room 301? Reports of strange occurrences in Room 301 date back decades. Guests who have stayed there often complain of sudden temperature drops despite no apparent cause, objects moving on their own, personal belongings found misplaced or missing, unexplained whispers in the dead of night, in multiple languages, including German and French. A dark shadowy figure seen standing at the foot of the bed or peering from the bathroom doorway. One chilling encounter involved a businessman who checked in for a one-night stay. He later recounted waking up to the feeling of someone sitting on his chest, unable to breathe or move. In his peripheral vision, he saw a blurred, ghostly figure leaning over him. The pressure lifted just as suddenly, but he fled the room immediately and demanded a transfer. A housekeeper who was cleaning Room 301 alone also reported hearing the sound of footsteps pacing when no one else was inside. She refused to enter the room alone again. Who haunts Room 301? There are many theories about the identity of the ghost, or ghosts, haunting Room 301. Some believe it is a Nazi officer who met a mysterious fate inside the hotel during the war. Others claim it is the spirit of a resistance fighter who was captured, tortured, and killed within the walls of Maurice. Another chilling theory links the haunting to Salvador Dali, who often stayed at the hotel and had an obsession with the supernatural. Some guests claim to have seen a tall, thin figure with wild hair flickering in their peripheral vision, only for it to vanish when they turned their heads. Whatever the truth, the legend of Room 301 remains strong. Despite its unsettling history, the hotel never officially acknowledges the hauntings, and the room is still available to book. Would you dare spend a night in Room 301? If you do, don't be surprised if you wake up to find an unseen presence standing in the shadows, watching you sleep. The cursed statue of Père Lachaise Cemetery. Paris is a city of art, history, and romance, but it is also a city of ghosts. Nowhere is this more evident than in Père Lachaise Cemetery, the largest and most famous resting place in Paris. Stretching over 100 acres, the cemetery is home to thousands of elaborate tombs, winding pathways, and towering trees that cast long, eerie shadows. Many famous figures are buried here, from Oscar Wilde to Jim Morrison, but one grave in particular has developed a terrifying reputation, the tomb of Victor Noir, a journalist whose bronze statue is said to be both a source of luck and a terrible curse. Who was Victor Noir? In 1970, Victor Noir, a young journalist, was caught in the middle of a deadly political feud. He was involved in a dispute between his newspaper and Prince Pierre Bonaparte, the cousin of Emperor Napoleon III. Noir and a colleague were sent to deliver a message to the prince, but when they arrived at his residence, the meeting turned violent. During an argument, Bonaparte pulled out a pistol and shot Victor Noir in the face, killing him instantly. Noir was only 22 years old. His murder outraged the public, as he was seen as an innocent man killed by a corrupt aristocrat. His funeral was attended by nearly 100,000 people, and his grave at Père Lachaise became a symbol of injustice. But what happened after his death is what turned his tomb into one of the most infamous, and possibly haunted, spots in Paris. The statue with a dark reputation. A life-sized bronze statue of Victor Noir was placed over his grave, depicting him as he fell at the moment of his death, lying on the ground with his top hat beside him and his lips slightly parted. The sculptor captured every detail, including a very noticeable bulge in the statue's trousers. Over time, a strange superstition developed around the statue. Women, especially those hoping to find love, increase fertility, or enhance their romantic lives, began visiting the grave. The belief was that rubbing Noir's lips, feet, and most notably, the bulge in his trousers, would bring them luck in love. This odd tradition grew so popular that the constant touching of the bronze wore the area smooth and shiny, while the rest of the statue developed a natural green patina. Today, even though a protective barrier was once placed around the grave, visitors still sneak past it to continue the ritual. The curse of Victor Noir. But while some claim the statue brings good fortune, others insist it is cursed. Several visitors who mocked the statue or disrespected the grave reported experiencing terrible misfortunes shortly afterward. Some claim they suffered horrible breakups, divorces, or even accidents within days of touching the statue with bad intentions. One chilling case involved a tourist who kicked the statue, laughing at the legend. A week later, he reportedly fell down a flight of stairs, breaking his leg in 3 places. Another woman who jokingly spat on the grave lost her fiancé unexpectedly after he abruptly ended their engagement. Even skeptics admit that there's something unsettling about the eerily lifelike statue, which seems to stare at visitors with watchful eyes. Some believe Noir's restless spirit still lingers, punishing those who mock his legacy while rewarding those who treat him with respect. A grave you should visit, or avoid. Believe in the legend or not, the grave of Victor Noir remains one of the most visited in Père Lachaise. If you ever find yourself in the cemetery, you might be tempted to test the superstition. But be careful, many who tempt fate at Victor Noir's grave soon regret it. Would you dare to touch the statue? Or would you rather leave the ghost of Victor Noir undisturbed, lest he decide to follow you home?
If you like creepy stories like these, please subscribe to the channel.